evening. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday the 18th of July 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. Prime Minister Edi Rama today convened the Task Force for Monitoring and Fighting Against Cultivation and Trafficking of Narcotics. After listening to the directors of the institutions for prevention and the fight against the phenomenon, Prime Minister Rama asked the state police directors to catch the criminals and seize those assets that have been attained in an illegal way. The Prime Minister went on saying, "As the country has a 27-year history of drugs, we are doing our best to remove Albania from the drug map. Police have undertaken anti-drug operations even in rugged terrain and remote areas. The cultivation of cannabis is almost down to zero in the southeast area, for example in Jurokasta, Elbasan and Korça. However, certain problems do persist in other areas. Intensive work is being done in this regard. We need to provide the citizens with opportunities for a decent livelihood and take them away from cannabis as a means of life." In parallel with the clearing of the territory of Albania from cannabis, the police are also removing the criminal elements from their ranks. The determination to remove police officers related to cannabis is one of the reasons for reaching success, declared Prime Minister Rama, adding that cannabis plantations are now aimed only at the most rural areas. Asking police to keep the phenomenon under control in the coming months as well, the Prime Minister said that special attention should also be paid to people who are known to have cultivated cannabis in the past. The Prime Minister announced a second phase of the National Plan Against Cannabis, for which other institutions should be involved. According to the Civil Emergency Service, 10 fires have erupted in the past 24 hours across different areas of the country, including Shkodër, Leja, Tiran, Durrës, Elbasan, Fier and Vlorë. 60 firefighters, 40 military forces and helicopters are engaged in the operations for extinguishing the flames. The civil emergency specialists are keeping the situation under constant monitoring throughout the country because the danger of fires persists due to the hot weather. The Civil Emergency Service reiterated its appeal for citizens to call emergency phone numbers if they see any signs of fire. According to the Civil Emergency Service, 15 hectares of bushes were burned in Shkodër and 2 hectares in Fier. A significant surface of pines and bushes were burned in Leja, where the firefighting teams are faced with difficulties for intervention because of the rugged terrain. 15 hectares of bushes and pine were burned in Leja, 1 hectare in Elbasan. The Civil Emergency Service has asked for the help of Viva helicopters in order to extinguish the fires in Shkodër, where the intervention was difficult because of the mountainous terrain and the absence of roads in that area. The flames were extinguished after the air intervention of Viva helicopters. 103,000 Democratic Party members will have the opportunity to vote on July 22 for the party's chairman. The chairman of the Electoral Commission for Elections in the Democratic Party, Yamin Jana, declared today that the members' list will be available in DP branches, but it will not become public. After the voting process, the ballots will be transported to Tirana, where they will be counted in the presence of the chairman of the Electoral Commission and representatives of the two candidates. Mr. Jana gave assurance that the vote counting process will be transparent. The chairman of the commission declared that there are 73 voting centres all around the country for the 68 branches of the party. The chairman of the commission clarified that in some areas there are more commissions due to the high number of party members. Mr. Jana said that members of commissions have been appointed and that the final voting lists have been approved. According to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, the DP branches have received the necessary guidance. The candidates for DP chairman Edward Selami and Lulzim Basha held a debate in Shkodër today. The debate between the candidates was strong and tense, with their supporters offending each other. Mr. Selami accused his opponent of removing important people from the Democratic Party for the sole reason that they had opposed him. Journalists were not allowed to attend the debate between the candidates, but it was recorded by Democratic Party cameras. Sources told Aura News that Mr. Selami accused Basha of violating the party's statute. Basha has no right to decide who is worthy of the Democratic Party and who is not. Basha has violated the statute. This was Basha's mistake. The party members were the ones who should have decided if Josefina Topali should have been on the candidates list or not. To Basha, anyone who speaks out against him is a traitor, and this is a mistake, said Salami, who considers Mr. Basha to be a shadow of authoritarianism. In response, Mr. Basha retorted, "I do not agree with this. I was accused of authoritarian copy, and for sure you are talking about Sali Berisha. I have no similarity with Berisha. I cannot accept the accusations because if you were actually with me before the elections, you would have sacrificed too. Had you then, after the elections, told me that it was your turn, I would have left. I have not removed anyone from the party because being a Democrat does not mean being a member of parliament." Using irony, Mr. Salami reminded Basha that he is a chairman with frozen competencies. "Why should people believe in you? 4 years ago you said the same things, and you removed those who rejected you from the National Council and the candidates list," added Salami. Regarding the elections, Mr. Basha emphasised that the citizens' will was changed using money coming from drugs. Mr. Basha also made mention of those Democrats who have spoken against him. All had the opportunity to come to Škoda and ask for the citizens' vote, and they also should be held responsible for the loss. But I have taken on the responsibility, said Basha. But according to Mr. Salami, the main reason for the defeat on June 25 was Basha's outdated model. If you consider the loss to be a victory, or if you keep justifying it, then we are not on the right path. I will be here. For 15 years, you kept asking for me, and now that I am here, you ask why I have come. You celebrate the defeat, but my problem is the victory. The competition is real, and voting for me would be the right thing. You have said that we have 105,000 members, but we do not know where they are, declared Salami. At the end of the debate, Salami and Basha did speak with journalists, though Mr. Basha refused to talk about those who have spoken out against him. Meanwhile, Mr. Salami stated that he considered his model to be the model of victory and expressed his conviction that he will win on July 22. Mr. Salami also declared that his model will mark a return of the Democratic Party and will make Albania a history of success. The Albanian Parliament has asked the Constitutional Court to reject the request by the Union of Judges filed against the laws on vetting. The Parliament's request, which was prepared by the chairwoman of the Commission of Laws, is based on three main arguments: the absence of legitimacy by the judges, the review and rejection of some of the claims raised by the previous decisions of the Constitutional Court, and on the fact that the principles of the vetting are based on the best international standards. The Parliament claims that the Constitutional Court should not have accepted the lawsuit since the beginning, as the lawyer who defends the interests of the Association of Judges is not one who can conduct his profession before the Constitutional Court. According to the Parliament, an authorisation from the Steering Committee of the Union of Judges was needed. Parliament also highlighted that the Association of Judges cannot raise claims for issues that are related to prosecutors. The Constitutional Court rejected today the request filed by the Association of Traders, who asked the court to retract the law on additional police measures, or the so-called law on security cameras. The Association of Traders considers the obligation to install security cameras to be unconstitutional. The traders consider the non-stop recording of public environments to be a violation of human rights. But the claim was rejected by the Constitutional Court, which left the law in power. Once the law is enacted, business owners will be obligated to install security cameras, otherwise they will be fined. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.